More than 3,000 kids live in foster care in San Diego County. Of those, hundreds each year age out of the system. Joining me with a look at our region's foster care system is my guest, attorney Melanie Delgado with University of San Diego's Children's Advocacy Institute, and former foster child Georgette Todd, author of the memoir Foster Girl. Welcome.
Thank you.
Georgette, I understand at age 14, you along with your sister became foster children. What led to that?
Well, it started with my parents divorcing when I was young, and then my mother raised me as a single mother until she remarried. And then around age 13, my stepfather and my mother brought drugs into the household. And I started using drugs with them. And life was just really chaotic, and my stepfather was arrested on the day I overdosed. I overdosed in Palm Springs, and then I was taken to a hospital, and he was arrested, and my mother died shortly after. Cause of death is unknown, and there was an investigation, and then there was a drug raid, and my sister and I were taken into foster care.
I know that you're kind of chronicling this in a very light way, but your book is really quite intimate and raw, and there are a lot of really quite disturbing things that happened to you. What do you want readers to understand most about your experience through foster care and through a series of different institutions?
I really wanted to give readers an understanding of what it really feels like to be in foster care, and also, you know, there's this major stigma on foster youth that it's their fault that they're in foster care, and you'll see in my book that no, we didn't do anything to get into foster care. Something was done to us, and we're living the consequences of our parents' decisions, poor decisions. And I really just wanted to give that perspective, which I feel hasn't been given in the way that I chose to give it.
And there were a lot of details like this refrigerator being locked in one foster care house. But you also talk a lot about kinship, a lot about your sister. So Melanie, I want to ask you, the idea of kinship foster care, it comes out a lot in Georgette's book. So what is it, and how does it work here in San Diego?
Kinship care is when family will care for youth in foster care. And it's really important because it allows youth who have experienced a certain amount of upheaval in their lives to be in a family setting where they have some connection with their family members and can be rooted with their family members. And up until a year ago, families who cared for foster kids were reimbursed at a rate that is far lower than the reimbursement rate for non-related foster parents. And a year ago, or last year, a bill passed called the Approved Relative Caregiver Act, and it allows relatives who care for foster youth to be reimbursed for caring for those youth at the same rates as non-relatives who care for youth. And we're hoping that that will encourage family members to take their foster youth in.
So the foster youth with a sibling, with a brother or a sister. Right. Now, another issue with foster kids is aging out of the system. So let me ask you this, Melanie, first. What are some recent changes? What is the age now that somebody ages out of the foster care system?
Now, after AB 12, which passed in 2010 and went into effect in 2012, youth can stay in the foster care system until they're 21.
And Georgette, what happened to you after you turned 18?
Well, I would have been homeless if it weren't for my last foster mother. She allowed me to stay with her for the summer before I went off to college. But my emancipation plan, according to the workers who I called, was a binder full of homeless shelters. That was my emancipation plan. So thank God I had a good foster mother who allowed me to stay with her, because if I didn't, I would have been at the Salvation Army homeless shelter.
Both of you are advocates for foster care reform. Georgette, what's the first step you would like to see done to make the system better?
I'm really happy to hear that there's a Kinship Act that's going to be enacted in San Diego County, I think June 1st.
June 1st it takes.
I'm happy to hear that, but the problem with that is it's county opted, so that means that San Diego has opted for this program, but if relatives live in a different county and they're not part of that program, then they can't partake in the Kinship Act.
So you'd like to see it broaden. How about you, Melanie?
I think that we need to continue to ensure that foster youth receive services after they're 18, and that the services that are in place for youth who are 21 stay there. There are transitional housing placement programs for kids who are over 21 to help them after they age out to be able to remain, to continue to go to college and to land on their feet and to kind of transition into that life without foster care system. And I think those are very important.
Well, certainly, Georgette, you're a shining example of you've gone on to college, got your master's. So thank you so much for sharing this. And Melanie Delgado, thank you as well for coming on and talking to us. Now I want to let folks know that they can meet foster girl author Georgette Todd at her Barnes & Noble book signing in Mission Valley on Saturday, May 23rd at 1 p.m.